Fellow hunters, again, collectors and fanatics alike, I'm your host, Glenn Taylor. Now, I'm currently with, again, special artist and guest right here at Huntsville Comic Book and Pop Culture Expo, Arthur Suydam. Is that how you say it?
That's how you say it, yeah.
All right. Again, Arthur, I greatly appreciate you doing the interview. So how's it going, man?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
All right. So for those of you who do not know who you are,
right,
what are you best known for in your comic book world?
What am I best known for? Zombies.
Zombies. Which one specifically?
I'm told that the books that I worked on, the series that I worked on, actually what actually created and started the whole zombie phenomenon. So Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness. I work on The Walking Dead. I'm told that my work, all the projects I work on, are actually what got the show on TV.
Nice.
Deadpool, Black Panther, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider. So all the spooky stuff, all the horror stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm kind of the go-to guy in the industry for DC and Marvel. When they have something that's horror related, I'm the guy usually that they come to.
Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first became known of the Marvel Zombie, I was actually shocked. I was like, wow, Marvel went this way with Marvel Zombies. And the first one I came about was, I think it was Marvel Zombies number 5, the whole wedding and Spider-Man. I was like, wow, like Mary Jane's right there dead with her intestines coming out. I was like, wow, Marvel went there.
Well, that was an accident. That series happened was really, it was just, every now and then you get something that slips through the cracks. So the editors weren't really looking. They didn't know what they were getting. I did a series called Hellstorm, Son of Satan, and they saw, wow, this guy can really do horror. Let's come up with something for this guy, and then we all put together Marvel Zombies. And Marvel Zombies was not put together by the top guys in Marvel.
No.
It was put together by us, by the talent, and they didn't expect it to be that big, so they just thought it was going to be a little thing that comes and goes. It's here today, and tomorrow it's gone and forgotten about. They had no idea that it was going to become one of the best sellers of all time, that it was going to change the world. And it caused a lot of
controversy
and anxiety. Well, less controversy, but more so anxiety with the management, because they didn't know how to handle it. Because they're not used to getting a hit that's big. It's that big and that all-consuming. And they were very fearful that it was going to eclipse their plans of how they wanted the world to go. They had this plan of how they're going to conquer the world with Captain America and Iron Man, and then they're going to put
the good versus evil.
Yeah, good versus evil. And so Marvel Zombies was really fresh and iconic, and something it was not what they do. So it slipped through the cracks when they weren't looking really.
That's interesting. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because with you at home, back then Marvel and DC went under a lot of fire with a code of ethics, which is why I said good versus evil. So all of a sudden Marvel Zombies come up as about, I'm like, well, that's not part of the code of ethics at all.
Well, it said for mature readers on it, though.
That's true.
Yeah. So they covered it with that. But kind of the same, I think the Return to the Dark Knight was a similar, the exact same thing. What happened was DC, booked Frank Miller to write something, and they didn't know what they were going to get. And then Frank Miller came up with this really wild and progressive, really progressive type storytelling and type artwork, and they weren't really looking close enough, and it kind of snuck through, and it changed the world. I mean, it led to all those Batman movies coming out, and so the same thing with Marvel Zombies. Yeah, Marvel Zombies started this whole zombie craze, and it's actually what got the Walking Dead sign when they couldn't get it signed. They'd been pitching it to studios, I'm told, and the studios were saying no until Marvel Zombies came out, and then it made zombies the hottest thing in the country. It was kind of like when the British invasion happened. Yeah,
here come the zombies.
Here come the zombies, right. Toyota started putting zombies in their car commercials. Brad Pitt went out and bought World War Z. Plants vs. Zombies was put together overnight, and
Resident Evil,
and became the number 2 game in the country after Angry Birds, if you remember. So yeah, that all came from Marvel Zombies, Raise the Dead, and then Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness as well.
Now, as an artist, I have to ask, when you've been doing this for so long, did you choose comics, or do you feel that comics kind of chose you?
Hey, that's the first time I've ever been asked that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, let me think about that. Did comics choose me? I think it's probably both. So that's why it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer. I mean, you are what you do. You are what you eat, and you are what you do. And so I started reading comics. I was burned very bad when I was about 5 years old. In fact, they didn't expect me to live So I was put in the hospital for a year.
Really? I did not know
They
that.
were kind of deciding maybe it's merciful to just let this kid go, you know. And then my
What?
father fought with him and threatened him actually.
Good for you, Dad.
Yeah, good for me, Dad.
Like, you're not killing my son.
No, they wanted to let me go, and he said, my father threatened him. He was a tough guy, and so, but while I was in the hospital for a whole year convalescing, I was wrapped from head to foot like a mummy, burnt from head to foot, and
Dude, I'm so glad you made it.
yeah, I made it. Yeah. So, but my father used to bring me comic books to read, you know, and so it got me into reading the comics.
Good dad.
Good dad. And then, so once I got out of the hospital, I started drawing them right away. So I loved the comics, and I started at age 5, and then later on, I had the family is actually a fine art family. It's a very well-known fine art family going all the way back to the 16th century.
So it's within your blood DNA / artist?
Not that I knew of, but I don't know. So maybe. So because I had three great uncles, two of who were members of the Hudson River Painters. The Hudson River Painters were a collection of about a dozen painters who painted landscapes in the 18th century at the advent of the Civil War, and they won American Fine Artist recognition worldwide for the first time. So it used to be thought that there were no good artists in the United States. The only good artists were in Italy, you know, and in Holland,
France,
and
and
Denmark,
all
and
Europeans.
France, and England. But American had terrible artists until these dozen Hudson River painters came along. One was a James Suydam, and the other one was Henry Suydam. So two of them were Suydams.
Wow.
And then following that, America's foremost architectural artist was E.H. Suydam, who he did like every city just about in the world. Every city in the country, then he did Europe, then he did Egypt, did drawings of all these countries, and he's very famous for that. And his work is hanging in the White House and in the Museum of, what's it called? New York Museum of New York City.
So you have a family celebrity kind of deal?
Well, they're artists, so there's a lot of really recognized, established, and renowned artists in the Suydam family, and I'm the latest guy, and I do zombies.
Well, I mean, still famous regardless, depending on your work is.
Also, I got off track a little bit. So I was starting to say was I had another uncle who studied with Norman Rockwell, and when I was about 8 years old, I inherited his workbooks. So my aunt gave me his workbooks, and that's what really started my formal training, my formal drawing and painting training. So that was a couple of years after I got out of the hospital. And so I was reading the comics, and then I had this great introduction to the great illustrators of America, Norman Rockwell, John Whitcomb, Albert Dorn, and all these great illustrators, and so that kind of set me on the right path of educationally.
That's fantastic. Now, of course, in relation to other work that you've done, because I'm a Predator fan, and next year will be my 30th anniversary collecting Predator.
Okay.
A lot of people may not know, but you did work on a Batman versus Predator comic.
Batman Predator, yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was one of my favorite movies of all time too. It's my favorite Arnold movie. It's the Predator movie. And,
now, of course, for you guys at home, what he actually did was 3 prestige formats.
Correct, right.
Now, the way they did it, though, was interesting. Instead of being 3 issues, they came out with 4 issues, where they split your artwork in half.
Right.
So you had 2 issues, number 1, then 3, and then, of course, the 4th one.
Right, that's correct.
So how did that come about?
I think this had to do with, this was pre-variants. Before they came up with this idea of variants, they were experimenting with different things in the market to see if it would change sales. So this prestige format you're talking about, but they were little mini graphic novels. I think the books were 44 pages, something like that. 40-something pages each one. So that's a long comic book. That's a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And it predates the actual term graphic novel. So it started with prestige format, and I know what happened. Yeah.
What was that?
Could you grab that?
Oh yeah, of course.
This was the cover. So they came to me and they said, we want you to do a cover with Batman facing the Predator, nose to nose. So I went and painted the painting, and that's the painting.
So this, of course, is one of his art prints that he has right here at the show. and I think you're selling these for about $20 a
20
piece.
bucks,
Yeah. So I actually have one of these. Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
He also has I have a graded copy that you signed for me back
Okay.
in Phoenix, Arizona Comic-Con. So it's been a couple of years since I've seen him, but I do have one of these, and you can get one as well. I love the fact that you're able to have this for fans to collect if they are in fact a Predator fan. How long did this been going on? How long did it take you to do this? This particular artwork?
That's a good story. Let me finish the first half of it, and then, we'll answer the second half of it. So what happened when I was commissioned to do this series and this cover? They asked me to do a Batman facing Predator, and you know, comic books are this shape. They're very.
It's like an 8x10.
Well, they're rectangular and they're very narrow, so there was no space for me to squeeze in Predator and Batman in that skinny format.
Right.
So I did it as a wide piece, as a wraparound. This is called landscape format.
Right.
So it forced the company to do two versions of issue 1.
Oh.
Where they had Predator on one issue and then had the Batman on another issue. So that was like predates variants. So probably the first variant maybe that ever came down the pike from Marvel DC was probably this book. And they were forced to do it because the painting was finished. It wasn't even finished. I got it as finished as I could get it because I had to go to press at 12 o'clock that day. And I gave them the painting, and they got it, and they didn't realize that they were going to get a landscape view painting. So it forced them to do two versions of the book. So they printed it, one with this half of the painting on the cover, and the variant they printed with Batman on the cover. Now it's the first time they did that. So what forced them to do it was that's what they got.
Now, see, what I love about this is because I do have both of them came back as a 9.4, 9.6 actually.
Your books, okay.
Yeah, so I have one signed from you, and I have a universal graded one. So what I plan on doing with my print is putting this in the middle, and then on each side would be the graded copies of the Prestige format.
Right.
Now, the artwork that's inside of Batman vs. Predator was done by both Andy and Adam Kubert, sons
boys.
of, yeah.
That's why I agreed to do the series because I like those guys. I love the dad's work and
Joe Kubert.
Sons. Yeah, Joe. And I knew it was going to be good, so I said, okay, let's do this project.
Nice. Now, when it comes down to Batman vs. Predator, do most people think of you, or is it just the zombies first and then Batman second?
Well, you know, in order to be really known in comics, you have to work on the mainstream characters.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
My interest in for my own art career was to get. I had a concept in my mind. I've always had a concept of the kind of training that I wanted to get. So I wanted to get full, complete Renaissance training. That was really what I was into. And then I wanted to bring those techniques to comics. But that required for me spending a lot of years in school. So I couldn't do monthly titles because I just didn't have time because I wanted to stay in school. So essentially I've been in art school for about 40 years. So I do 2 years in one school, I finish that, I go to another school, I do a couple of years there.
That is very respectable.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to do. So I like to study. I probably like to study more than I like anything else. And so
well, speaking of interests, I was watching an interview with you at Wizard World PhillyCon, and you mentioned that you do collect.
Right.
Do you still collect anything at this current moment?
Yes, I do. So
what do you collect?
I collect wood sculpts from Cuba.
Oh.
That's what I collect. So I go to Cuba once or twice a year now. In my mind, they have the finest wildlife wood sculptors in the entire world, and so I go there and I buy a lot of wood sculpts. I go there with my girlfriend, and we go to all the galleries. We try to track down the artists, meet the artists, go to their house, have dinner, talk art, talk history, talk politics.
So that's what makes you really get geeky when you go over there and talk about art and sculptures in
great.
Cuba.
You know, they're really open over there. I love the country, and they're really open over there for people from the outside world coming in and sharing ideas, and sharing knowledge.
Now, when you tell them that you yourself an artist here in America and you've done all this, what are their reactions?
I don't know.
Hey, really?
Yeah. I think they seem to be very welcoming because it's just part of the culture either way. So
it's universal.
Yeah, it's universal. So artists, we speak the same language.
That's good.
So we're talking. Yeah, we talk art.
Now, do you by any chance sculpt on the side, or do you?
I do. So I'm actually classically trained and formally trained as a sculptor, but I don't have time for it. So That's one of the reasons why I like to go out and I like to purchase art pieces, sculpt pieces by guys that do have the time for it.
Right.
Because I would like to do it by just doing the illustration. I'm a Muay Thai instructor as well.
Oh.
So
I don't want to make you mad.
I'm a peaceful man. Just don't pull me tail.
Right.
So there's no time. There's no time for me to sculpt. So I prefer then to enjoy the artwork of the guys that can sculpt it.
Awesome. Now, of course, with me, I can't sculpt because it'd take me hours.
Right.
And I know that as an artist, I don't know if you feel the same, but you are your own worst critic because you want to get it perfected.
Right. That's why when my pictures are done, and I learned this from the Norman Rockwell course that I inherited. When my pictures are done, they're out of sight. And they stay out of sight. And I try never to look at them again.
Because you know you're gonna
pick I'm gonna want to put it back up on the board, and I'm gonna want to work on that painting, and I'll probably ruin it. And then I'm working on something that I shouldn't be working on. It's the pictures that I have deadlines for are over there next to the drawing table, and those are the ones that I really should be working on. So yeah, the format for me is to when a picture's done, put it in storage, get it out of sight. I don't hang any of my own pictures in my own house for that reason, right? Because it puts me in work mode.
That's true.
And then I can't relax. It'll keep me from sleeping. When I'm trying to sleep at night, I'll be thinking about what I should do to this picture.
I'm the exact same way when it comes to my collection and organizing. I can't let it go. But I do love the fact that you have all this magnificent work, about 2 tables length actually. How can anyone find you on social media if they want to see more of your work?
I guess at harryarthursuydam.com. I'm sorry, harryarthursuydam at Facebook. So
okay.
Facebook, I'm on Facebook, and then arthursuydam.com. There's a website up there. I don't much attend the website. Somebody else put the website together for me, but if they want to, contact me or something, or they can probably contact me through the website.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely leave a link down in the description below regarding Arthur Suydam's website. Again, Arthur, so much very much for your patience.
Pleasure's all mine.
I love again your artwork, and when I came across this, artwork back in Phoenix Comic Con, I was like, he's here. He's actually here. So I had to get one. Yeah, the guy behind it.
You got the story out of me about why there were 2 versions of this when it didn't even occur to me until just right now when you said.
Really?
You reminded me. Now I figured it out because what happened was when they reprinted the series. They put both of the characters on the cover.
Yeah, they did.
The artwork, I should say, the artwork was not stellar, but they got both of the pages on the cover.
No, I'm actually curious. Where do you still have the original painting?
No, that got sold a long time, years ago.
So that's what whoever's behind that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this a little bit more.
All right.
So this is so the reason you don't see me do much work for DC Comics.
Oh.
Now I don't do much work. It starts with this.
Oh, okay. This I have to know.
All right. It starts with this, and it continues with this here, which was also a DC project, which is this.
Okay.
Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. So
that'd be an awesome movie to see.
When they approached me to do this series, they called me up on the phone. They're in the same town. I'm in New York City. They're in New York City.
Right.
They're in the 40s at Rockefeller Center, and I'm in East Village. I'm an East Village guy.
Okay.
And so they called me up and said, "We want you to do this series, Batman vs. Predator." So I said, "Okay." As soon as you give me the contract, the job is on, and I can start working on your covers. And it takes me 3 weeks to do a cover. It takes me 3 weeks to do a cover. So I said,
that's pretty fast.
Yeah, no. Okay. That's my average, about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, and when's your book due? Oh, it's due in 3 weeks. Well, fine. You got to give me the contract today so that we can start working on your covers for you.
Give me the money first.
No problem. They said, no problem. We'll bicycle messenger contracts down to you so you could sign them. We'll sign them, and then the job is on. So that day, no contract was delivered.
Okay.
A week later, no contract was delivered. So we're calling them every day, guys.
So now they're already a week behind.
So now already put us a week behind that we need to work on the painting. We haven't started the painting. We can't until there's a contract because these publishers are notorious for over the phone telling you one thing and then the job is not real.
Right.
So 2 weeks go by, still no contract. There's only 1 week left. So I said, okay, this job ain't gonna happen. These guys are they're just bullshitting us, you know. And so there's no gig here. So I think it was like 4 days before the thing is scheduled to go to press, the contract arrives, you know. So I got 4 days to do the painting. So I had to stay up for like 3 days without sleep, working on the painting. I got everything done except the Batman. There was no Batman on the painting. And when 1 hour, I had to go to press. So the guys, now the editor's on the phone, frantically call him on the phone.
It's your fault, dude.
Yeah, but it's, you know, whose fault it is, it's irrelevant because we got a picture with no Batman, or Batman series. So he says, in 1 hour it's going to press, in 1 hour it's going to press. I said, okay, I'll just block it in, I'll give you your cover. So I just quickly blocked in the Batman with some paint. I didn't even draw it. And then gave him the cover, and that's what got printed. So when you actually see the printed book, the Batman looks very different than this. So this is actually the finished Batman. So in the following week after we delivered the painting, I went back to the painting and I finished the Batman. So but when you look on the book, you'll see that that's a pretty terrible looking Batman because the rest of the picture was finished and it's the same. So
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even notice that.
Okay, well, if we held them up one next to the other, we would see that. But that put a bad taste in my mouth for working for DC. And so I didn't work for them. For that reason, I didn't work with them for another 10 or 15 years. And then they called me to do this series, DC Comics here. And they did the same thing. They did the same thing all over. I said, this is a very complex painting. It's very time consuming. There's a million characters in here. There's character likenesses. So it took me, you know, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks to paint this thing.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing where they promised the contract, didn't deliver it till like a week before the cover's due, and it really interfered with me doing the work. So that's the reason people ask. I get asked that all the time. Why don't you do more work for DC? I found their management over there to be
no time management skills.
Well, unprofessional, just unprofessional and kind of incompetent, to be perfectly frank.
Well, that's understandable.
That's been my experience.
Well, see, for me, because in order for you to get the best work, you need that time allowed to get the best out of you.
And that's what I'm about. Like guys like me and Alex Ross, it's not about these things don't pay much to do these covers, you know. So what it's about for us is we want to do great work. We want to do the best work we can do, and all we want is an opportunity to do our best work. And then if the company you're working for is making that impossible, fighting you the whole way, that's problematic.
It is, especially because for you at home, as well as you, if you're a collector of artwork like me, I mean, that's your reputation on the line.
Absolutely.
So if once it's published and they say, well, this doesn't look like your artwork at all,
right.
Like, well, that's because it was rushed and I had no time to do it. So it's no good, respectable amount of time for you to do it.
Yeah, well, it haunts you as an artist, as a professional artist. For the rest of your life, this Batman is a good example of this Batman Predator series. So, like my friends who sell professional artwork for a living, professional comic art, you know, they sell everybody's artwork. You know, for years after that, they come to me and they're very frank with me because they know me. They said, "Yeah, but you really dropped the ball on that Batman." You dropped the ball on that Batman thing.
Well, personally, for me, I mean, I like Batman, but I don't love Batman.
I got you.
So I'm kind of glad you did this first, as opposed to the Batman. I could care less. But the Predator looks
came
amazing.
Afterwards, yeah. So this is finished, and I like the piece. I like the piece now. So, but I got to finish it after the book came out, and then, but all the art, you know, the fans who love the Batman, they saw the Batman. They go, Arthur Suydam's Batman is pretty lousy, you know. So, and it's not my fault; it's their fault. So, I just don't. We don't like to be put in that position where the editors really interfere with the quality of our work that way. That's
true.
What it comes down to.
Well, again, Arthur, I really appreciate it. These are awesome stories, and thank you very much,
all right,
man.
Good
appreciate
to meet
it.
you, man. It's great to be here in Alabama.
All of his links will be down in the description below if you want to find out more of his work. What are you working on right now? Any comic books?
Yeah, right now we just put out the complete Child and Flytrap. That's a series that I wrote for. Started off for heavy metal. In fact, the characters. I was hired to design the characters for the movie poster for the heavy metal movie.
Oh, nice.
You know, when the heavy metal movie first came out. Now I continued the characters in heavy metal, and then after that in Epic Illustrated. So we just put out the complete child. We just did a collected edition of all of that series. It was 300 pages, stuff that I wrote and that I painted. It's all, the whole series is fully painted. That came out with Titan Books. Anybody's interested, they can find that on Amazon. Right now we're working on the complete Mudwogs, which is another series that I wrote. It's all hand painted. That's 300 pages. It's hardcover. It's going to be for type books as well.
Nice. So again, if you are a Walking Dead fan, this is the guy that did behind it along with Marvel Zombies. So make sure that if there's anything else you want to know, head over to his website. And until next time, thank you very much, guys, and happy hunting. Peace out.